What's up, YouTube? It is me, Topher Crost, here to talk to you a little bit, and then talk to you about something that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while, the dreaded card, Pot of Greed. Now, before I get started, I just want to say really quick, thank you for being patient with me getting another video up this last week, and it's been about a week. I have been heavy fever, pretty sure I have the flu. It's been the worst I think I've pretty much ever had, and the longest lasting. Working 10 hours a day and coming home and doing this just wasn't, I had to rest. So I haven't really done anything YouTube, so I got a lot of catching up to do, which means the posting may be a little light, but I still want to get some good videos to you guys this month. I try to have about 8 videos up a month. That's about 2 a week, and I don't know if I'll be hitting those quotas this month. I'm going to try. I make no promises, but that being said, thank you so much for sticking around. My channel, as far as time watched, almost like went completely down, but you guys stuck with me, you stay subscribed, so I really appreciate that. Alright, so without further ado, let's talk about the dreaded Pot of Greed card, and what I wanted to talk about is something that people, the Yu-Gi-Oh community in general, especially those who play competitive, are really scared of. So it's Pot of Greed being on the ban list and coming off the ban list. So am I for or against Pot of Greed coming off the ban list? Actually, believe it or not, I am for Pot of Greed coming off the ban list. I think it shouldn't. I honestly think that it is a good card, but it is not a phenomenal card. And I know what you guys are thinking, but that's like an automatic +1. You don't have to do anything. You know, that's like the big argument for it. You know, it's ridiculous. It's so powerful. You don't lose anything. You could just draw 2 cards. That's crazy. You know, that's what people say about it, and in my opinion, yes, I do not, I do believe that the card is one of the most, if not the most powerful draw card in the game, maybe Graceful Charity, but at the same time, it's more of one of those, that doesn't really have a good argument just to keep it completely off. In my opinion. For instance, what I mean is like the argument that it doesn't give you, you know, you don't have to sacrifice anything to use it. Well, yes, but you could say the same thing about other cards that we have, specifically one that I can think of off the top of my head, card that we have on the ban list, or off the ban list right now. It's limited, but we still can play it, and I'm talking about Regeki. You can destroy all of your opponent's monsters, obviously, assuming they don't have protection effects, but you destroy all of their monsters, and you don't have to sacrifice anything, you just play the card. Now, I understand why it's limited. So, there's also a little rumor going around that Pot of Greed is going to be coming off the ban list to limited with an errata, if I'm saying that right, like, and I think the, errata was, something to the tune of, Pot of Greed, you can draw 2, but you can't special summon that turn or something like that, you know, and it's, I don't want that to happen. To be honest, Pot of Greed could fill up so many, decks, like, it could just be that placeholder for a lot of decks. Now, before I go any further, I want to say that I don't believe Pot of Greed should come off at 3, because that's too much, because you could Pot of Greed into a Pot of Greed into a Pot of Greed. I understand why you don't want to do that, but just to give the decks a little bit of a boost, especially slower decks, you know, that don't have the, and I know it would help meta decks too, but, you know, those slower decks that might need that pickup, that might just have that one card, that they have at 40, you know, just so they have their deck at 40, but it's still bricks, so they can switch out Pot of Greed. They have Pot of Greed, they have Upstart Goblin, they have, you know, 2 less cards, you know, in the deck that they have to worry about, and they can just kind of draw into and use. They don't have too many restrictions. So I don't want them to errata Pot of Greed, but I also don't want it to come off at 3. I honestly think it should be limited. And like I said, as long as we have cards like Regeki and everything's getting power creeped anyway, why don't we let Pot of Greed off the ban list? I think it should be fine. You know, just play it 1. That means there's not a huge chance you'll draw into it, and you can play 1. You know, draw 2. I can understand why people don't want Graceful Charity off the ban list, because a lot of cards get benefits nowadays from grave effects, and like Light Swarms, Graceful Charity and Light Swarm deck. Oh my god, could you even imagine that? That'd be fucking ridiculous. But no. I think they should keep Graceful Charity on the ban list, but Pot of Greed should come to 1. I don't think it'd be good at 2. I don't think it'd be good at 3. I think it should be at 1, and you know, just be basically a placeholder for a lot of decks. Be one of those cards that everybody uses. There's other cards that that I think should come off the ban list that are on the ban list, but that's the big one, the one that's been banned forever. And it should definitely come up with 1. A lot of the meta decks wouldn't even be phased by it anymore. And to be honest, I think I'd rather people be able to draw 2 cards than destroy my monsters. Now, I think Regeki is necessary for how fast we're building boards, and it keeps players from using all their eggs in one basket and just murdering you first turn. So Regeki is a must, I think, to stay off the ban list, but also Pot of Greed should be off the ban list. But I think that would help out, actually help formats a lot, and I don't think it needs to be errata. I just don't see the point. One of the other arguments for the big, like I said, one of the big, not one of the arguments, but there's no cost to it. And I can compare it to something like trade-in, where yes, there's a cost of trade-in, but trade-in you can still play at 3, and it's very specific. You have to like send a level 8 monster or a level 7 or 8 monster to the graveyard or something like that to draw 2. And the problem with this is, especially, like, I play Blue Eyes, so when you put a Blue Eyes in the graveyard, it does absolutely nothing bad, like, negative to the deck whatsoever. When you get a Blue Eyes in the graveyard, it's where you want to have it. It doesn't matter if it's in the graveyard. The deck is the card is basically one big benefit to the deck. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. The card is basically one big benefit to the deck, and yet we let that, sit at 3, but we won't let 1 Pot of Greed off the ban list. That's just ridiculous, I think, personally. The game is fast enough now that where Pot of Greed isn't going to kill it too much. And if we're being honest about Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyway, unless you either play meta, or you play with really good friends, casual, there isn't a lot of fun to be had in the game. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the game, but that's just how it is. Unless you have good friends to play it with, or you play at a competitive level, which means you have to play certain decks, and spend a lot of money, by the way, on the game. You have to spend a lot of money to get meta decks. I see a lot of YouTubers doing budget decks, but then their budget's like $70, $80, and then I'm looking around at my friends, the ones that I have to play Yu-Gi-Oh! That have to build their decks very slowly, and they build a lot of rogue decks because they're cheaper. Which is a big problem in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I'll discuss it another day, more so than what I've discussed now. But that's why I think, Pot of Greed, if they don't errata, it'll still be a cheap card that everybody can get, because it's been reprinted so many times, it'll be an easy card to get. Most people already have one just kind of sitting around somewhere, and it could let some decks that don't really have a draw power, a way to get to search or to draw, kind of come back into the light a little bit now that we're getting some more draw cards. We have Upstart Goblin, if, possibly Pot of Greed, Pot of Duality, which works good for a lot of decks, Trade-In, which works good for higher, decks, for dark decks you have, Allure of Darkness, which yes, you have to banish, but, I mean, it's still not that bad for drawing 2 cards as long as you play plenty of monsters. So that's, why I feel that Pot of Greed should come off the ban list. I don't think it'll hurt the game too much. The game's already too fast anyway. It's not going to really hurt anything. But anyway, that's how I feel about the card. I'd love to this is more a video to get up a discussion, to bounce off of you guys, because it'll actually help me on a project that I'm doing. So this is to initiate discussion. So please comment down below. I would love to talk to you guys about this. Below, and like I said, I'll be getting better videos out to you soon. I actually wanted to do a top 10 today instead of this, but I'm not going to have a video that I know is probably going to get quite a bit of views, be the one where I'm congested. So as soon as I get I'm not sick anymore, I'll be doing that. Also, I have some more frame videos coming out soon, and if that one video, the Cuphead video, gets some likes, I'll be doing some more Cuphead. I have a lot, and then I still have that really big project that I keep hinting at every once in a while. That it's coming out. So you guys have a wonderful day. What did you think of the video? Do you want me to do more discussion videos like this? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And you guys have yourselves a nice day. Topher Crost out.